We're live. You're not gonna speak. This is not gonna be in the video. You're not gonna wipe my mouth. A grown ass man in the video. Welcome back to.
Start over.
What do you mean start over?
Start over.
Welcome back. This is episode 9
Of
KTCG Radio
podcast.
.com trademarked.
Alright.
Copyrighted. Alright, This is the second to last episode before the season finale. Because we need some time to think about how we can improve, make our brand look better, make our intros and outros look better, and how we can be better hosts. And the main important thing, content. You got any ideas for season 2 that you can share with?
You want me to tell the podcasters that? Our conversators?
Yeah.
You really want to reveal that information? They'll just have to see what comes out in season 2.
You don't want to give them a teaser?
It's going to be different. I can say that.
Different. Okay.
Yeah, different. That is what I can say. More relevant, more in the here and now. Maybe some future speaking.
And we do have some works in our social medias that we're happy to, test out during the summer.
Yep. So we'll see how that goes. You'll see it. Yeah, you'll see it. If you're watching, you'll see it.
Definitely. And this is going to be about communications. We're both communications majors in Baruch. Well, I started the business route, the hard way.
Yeah, I came in Baruch with the mindset that I would major in corporate communication.
Why did you have like a eureka moment, or did somebody tell you about communications?
No, you know what? Honestly, my intention, if I had went to another school, like when I was looking at Manhattan College and College of St. Rose, it would have been journalism, or it would have been media, anything in that area. So I was like, what's the best way that I can go about this? And I didn't want to do journalism in Baruch because my mom was so worried. She was like, you don't see what they're doing to the journalists across the states, across the country? I'm like, okay. She was like, I don't want to get no phone call and have you talking about you kidnapped and they need this and that. And I was like, all right. So she's heavily worried. And I was like, okay, what's the most closest thing to that I know that I'll enjoy? And I don't know. I felt like communication was really...
Oh, no, you also said PR.
Oh, yeah, PR too. But then I realized doing an internship that I don't want to just market one brand. That's just not me. Yeah, I can't be for one company and this is the only company and they're just the great. Like, it's just not... Because I started hearing, people like, if you work for Nike, you got to wear a Nike gear. You can't shop at... Yeah. All that foolishness. Like, I don't have time for it. Yeah.
I mean, for me, I hated public speaking. So, like, communication... Well, it was called business communications, and I was just like, you know what? It's the best of both worlds. I got to try it out. But those communications classes, I was over here shaking. The apple does not fall far from the tree.
No, you know what the fluffer words.
Like what? Like.
I don't know. Like, this is just like the...
Yeah, I feel like...
It's so hard to get that out of us.
In communications, they try to, like, steer you away from saying, like, those filler words.
Because you want you to be direct.
But, yeah, direct. Like, maybe... That doesn't make you seem as... Yeah, everybody... I remember there was a student...
That kept saying that?
I think because they were nervous, obviously.
Yeah,
like,
and that's where it comes
and
from.
Then the mitochondria is the powerhouse of the cell, I was just like...
Yeah, you know how the...
This is tough.
Yeah, like was the major one, and
like,
those were probably the two main ones.
Yeah.
Was some serious stuff. But there's something called good nerves, according to them.
Good nerves?
Yeah, good
nerves. I think, I definitely got better the more presentations I did. And there was like a music communications class. And I had a team and we were like representing Spotify. And we was PR for Spotify and how to improve it as an application. Yeah. I forgot who the professor was that for. But
I enjoyed it.
That's a little bit of a background for us.
And I also tutored it. So.
Oh yeah, you was working hard at Baruch.
I was working real hard at Baruch.
Yeah, man. I felt lazy every time I talked to her. I was like, yo, stop working, bro.
I had no choice. This is the life. It's the hustle. You got to do what you got to do.
That's why black women are winning today. All right, I guess with that we can start with the episode.
Yes.
So we're basically we've created scenarios.
In 3 categories.
Is it 3 categories?
I feel like it was 3 categories.
Oh, like two general.
2 general
So
categories.
work and relationships. So each category, I don't know if you guys ever experienced in like classes or like workshops where they give scenarios, or like Jessica was angry at her boss and she yelled at him, and then
these are her 3 options.
Yeah, these are her 3 options about how you would react to a situation. So that's what we did here. And this is like a different format, you know, we try to be different in the podcast game. We're not trying to like talk about current events all the time. We just try to keep it interesting. Oh yeah, game show.
Yeah, we're serious gamers.
So we can start with the first scenario. And for the viewers out there, we're gonna try to see if we can put like a little text box in the video.
Yes, it will pop up on. So if you're watching this on YouTube, you'll have what the scenario is, and you'll see the options on the screen somewhere.
Definitely.
Probably up top somewhere over here.
Yeah, she's the primary editor. So she's going to be with that. But for the audio only listeners, I'll try to read it as perfectly as I can so you understand the scenario. So here it is. Your supervisor has called you in their office because they do not recognize your recent performance / behavior as productive or acceptable. Additionally, you perceive their tone to be disrespectful. How do you respond? A, apologize profusely and make excuses about your performance and behavior. B, inform your boss you don't appreciate their tone and explain your reasons in deep detail. Or C, take full responsibility and give a detailed improvement plan. You want to go first?
Yeah, kind of feels very relevant, you know, very relatable. I feel like the old me would have been like B.
B?
Yeah.
Okay.
Or even probably now. I'm still learning, I feel like, to tell them. I mean, obviously, because, you know, the way some people talk to you, especially your supervisors, because, you know, they feel like there's this hierarchy of, like, power. When, no, you all work for this company. Like, you're all trying to make it towards the same goal.
Yeah.
But I feel like I would never do A.
You would never do A?
Because you would never hear me apologizing.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not apologizing for. I don't think I've ever been like, oh, I'm so sorry. I couldn't do this. It was just so hard to try and figure this out, and it was just, yeah. I mean, if I did something, it's probably either I didn't know it, or I honestly I would just be up in front, like, this is the situation. Here it is.
Okay.
But obviously, C would be the most responsible.
Okay.
Because it's coming from a point of, what can I say? Like, it's like you've learned something from the situation. So it's like when they tell you that, you're like, you know what? I've noticed that too. Like, I'm glad that you came up with it and said it and mentioned it. And I'm gonna say that I take full responsibility and accountability for what has happened, and this is what I'm gonna do going forward. They'll love that. Of course, they'll love that. They'll be like, wow, this person here is really thinking about the things that they've done instead of me having to tell them what they should do to improve. Which they seem to get a kick out of that, right?
Definitely. I mean, for me, of course, C, take full responsibility and give a detailed plan, improvement plan, is the way to go. And I'm not at all denying that. But I feel like if I didn't know any better, I think I would have done A. If I was like new in my career. And because apologizing profusely, you want them to recognize that you are terribly sorry. And it probably depends on the intensity of what you've actually done. If you like fuck something up major, you probably
That's
like.
Also true.
In IT, there was like this person who, like the internet cable in the network, the physical network closet, they put the cable where on another. So there's basically two routers, right?
Okay.
And they put the same cables from both routers in the same switch. So that crashed the network of like I think maybe 2 offices because of like the information that was coming in was doubled.
Yeah.
So like backed up, fucked up that all over, and like that person was just an intern. So I know that in that spot, like I would probably be sweating and shitting myself at the same time. But making excuses. I think in my experiences working, your supervisors won't really appreciate that because they feel as if you're not taking full responsibility, obviously. And at the same time, you can't own up to your mistakes and then try to at least remediate it by doing better and fixing the issue then and there. But you waste energy making excuses for yourself. And all these people cares about efficiency and money at the end of the day. So
yeah, you know, I didn't realize with the point you brought up, the intensity of it, like how serious is this thing that you've done? Because you brought up IT, and then I started to think like, if you know, I'm a teacher, and I'm thinking if one of the kids had like broken their leg, or if I'm witnessing 2 kids, you know, hit each other, and one comes back with a vast amount of marks on their face, like that, it could be an A. Like I would obviously be sitting there like, wow, like I'm so sorry. I'm so
royally fucked up.
Yeah, like you royally fucked up. So I'm like, I'm thinking of it. I'm saying that depending on the intensity or like severity of the situation, then you could go either way in this scenario. Yeah. But I feel like B is mostly gonna come from the person who just has a straight up attitude.
Or who doesn't care about their job anymore.
Like, either that, or they just like this is me, and this is the company hired me, so they clearly know who I am. So this is what they're gonna get. Exactly. You tell them you don't appreciate their tone. It's that simple. Because people don't like to be told those certain things. That's the problem in the workforce right now.
And that brings
they
up
feel
another.
Like you can't tell your boss what they're doing wrong or how they can improve, but it's always you need improvement.
I mean, I feel like that's difficult because at the same time they are your boss, and I don't know. Did that sound weird coming up, boss?
Boss. They are your boss.
They are your boss.
I think it just sounds funny. Just do it. Just don't think about it.
It's difficult because you can't tell them what to do.
Like why not?
They have control over you in your pay.
They have control over
and they can be petty and be like, I don't want to work with this person anymore. What if you really needed that job because your bills are crazy?
And that's the foolishness. That's just ugh. That's why you get these people that were bullied all their lives in these positions.
I mean, would there be a way to like?
No, there's a way to nicely come out and say what you feel. I feel like okay, so it's like instead of saying I don't appreciate your tone, you just turn it around and say like how it's making you feel. Like I understand this is what I did, but the way I'm taking this right now is like I'm feeling very hurt or offended in the way that you're speaking to me.
That's very
like
true.
it's more like a I instead of you saying you, because when you say you, people think it's like you're putting a blame or you're trying to shift the problem. I feel like more when and that's what they teach you more so when you use I that you're just it's like you're just telling them how you feel instead of
Do you still think you have the grounds if you were like super fucked up to like even?
If I super fucked up, then I I feel like a good part of this also is putting yourself in their shoes. Yeah. Like with that situation that you were explaining, like what would that look? How bad would that look on your boss or your supervisor when it comes down to them and it's like, oh well, the intern came in here and fucked up the whole system. Yeah. And it's like, what does that look like on the company? I guess the tone in their voice would be, it would be somewhat appropriate. Like I don't think you should still be yelling at people because you're not nobody's daddy or mother. I'm serious. You didn't raise them. I don't see why we just feel like it's okay to just be yelling at people.
That's very true. I
mean, there's always a conversation, to talk nicely, to have a tone in your voice that's at least respectable, because you yelling at them is not going to help the situation later on down the line. Because I feel like after a point of time, like how I am with my supervisor, I really, when I'm around her, it's just there's tension always. You don't want that in working with somebody. And then you know what happens? You leave, which is what I'm gonna do. You walk out the door.
Okay.
And it just happens. So I don't know. I guess there's probably some places in the real world it's not gonna work.
Yeah,
but if we
definitely.
were to work on it,
Yeah.
if we were to actively sit there and teach people how they should speak to one another instead of sitting there, because when you become a supervisor, they're teaching you all the whole process. They're teaching you the paperwork. They're teaching you this. They're teaching you but they don't teach you those soft skills of how to communicate with people that are working under you.
Definitely.
That's the problem.
And I mean, there's also take account of like your position.
That's
I mean,
true.
if like you were working in a group project with like other managers and you yourself are a manager, I feel like you would have more grounds to be like, okay, I totally understand I messed up, but like you don't really have to speak to me that way. Like I'm also a grown person.
That makes sense.
And I feel like I would be more productive if you spoke to me, yada yada yada, blah blah blah.
Can't stand
So
the hierarchy.
especially if you're like a grunt, level 1, you're gonna have to take it up the butt and just like
And what, keep it pushing?
and just keep it pushing. You're definitely gonna have to take the C route.
All right.
Yeah. All right. I like that. That was a good warm up.
A good warm up. So what are you trying to tell me is coming up? All right. So next scenario, number 2. Your coworker made an insensitive and ignorant comment about an ethnic group that you identify with. Right?
I misspelled ethnic. Sorry. I put ethic.
It's okay. We're living in the real world. Mistakes are okay. A, you challenge them and explain that their way of thinking is flawed and harmful. B, curse them out and report their comments to HR, that is human resources for those who don't know.
Yeah.
C, be neutral. Laugh it off and try to change the topic.
Yeah.
What do you think, Hamed? Think about it. It was
Like, I feel like, damn. Of course, like, challenging them and explaining that their way of thinking is flawed and harmful, I feel like that would be the PC answer. Because obviously, if you're seeing that, because the term sticks and stones may break bones, but words don't.
Words will never hurt.
I feel like that's beginning to be debunked. Like Twitter, you can see how Twitter can like do serious damage to people, businesses, cultures, anything. So definitely on a one-on-one tip, if this is like, obviously this won't be their first example of their behavior. They probably say that to their friends in their own friends group. So to challenge them, if this is your first experience with that person, I would say go A. And if you know enough about like how, such like the socio dynamic between certain people can be harmful in terms of inclusivity, that's definitely the option I think I would choose. But I feel like, because before in high school I was like really timid, I think I'd probably go C.
If you were in high school.
Yeah.
Because you're still learning about yourself.
Yeah.
Like you're still trying to figure out who you are as a person, and you're like, okay, they said something, but like, do I have enough to say something back to them to explain to them how harmful and flawed it is?
Yeah. I mean, I feel like not a lot of people have the courage to be like, yo, that's fucking.
Because you want to look cool.
Yeah, exactly. You want to be acceptable. Well, not everybody now, because being edgy is cool, but
it's like this changing.
Generally speaking, most people want to be accepted.
Yeah.
And if you challenge them, of course, you might create an enemy at the end of the day. So I feel like some people may choose C. What do you think?
I don't. This one is. I was thinking as I was reading it, I was thinking about this context and like if it was a 1-to-1 and if it was just if you were in a group of people that were of the same ethnic group as your coworker, and you're the only one of the ethnic group that they're making the insensitive and ignorant comment about, like what would you really do? Like, could you really sit there and say what you want to say without getting harassed or something said about you by each and every single one of the people that are standing there?
Yeah.
Which is difficult. It's really hard. I feel like someone who's outspoken would straight up just do A or B.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Do you see yourself doing B at any moment, like cursing them out and then reporting them to HR? I mean, obviously, some people won't curse them out, but I feel like,
No, I feel
what
okay.
is it
Okay to do that one.
to take it to HR? Like, if it's a repeat offense, if it's a one-time.
I feel like if it's a repeated offense.
Okay.
So I feel like there's levels to this, right? So say for instance you do A, right? That's your first op, or like you do C first. You're like, okay, so this is the first time I'm meeting them, or this is the first time I've had an interaction with them. You know, I'm gonna be neutral, laugh it off, and see what happens, because this may be something that they just said just once, right?
Yeah.
But then if you hear them say it again, you're like, okay, now I'm gonna move on to A. I need to explain to them that what they're saying is, you know, it's very harmful to my ethnic group and me specifically being a part of that ethnic group. And then it's like at that point, if they keep doing it, then it's at B, because HR is gonna. One thing is, I feel like HR is gonna want to see how many times has this person done this.
Definitely.
Like how many, or because they can walk in there that one time you say something, be like, oh, I didn't know that that's what I was saying.
Yeah.
I didn't even know that it was insensitive, and you know, you get the no, okay, whatever. So I feel like the more you hear it, the more examples you have, the more you can really sit there and make it seem like, you know, this is something that they've been doing and they need to stop doing. I feel
like if the other side of it would be like, okay, this is their first offense that you've heard and interacted with.
Yeah.
And you're pondering on taking it to HR, because you know, in some situations, like in terms of like sexual assault, right? I mean, maybe that is too drastic, and they'll probably take it more offensively, and more seriously. But in terms of like insensitive and ignorant comments, I feel like wouldn't HR appreciate like a track record, so they can like see this person has been making multiple offenses?
They probably would appreciate a track record. I mean, because, okay, since you brought that up, I'm thinking like how...
Compared to like if this person's been doing it multiple times, and then you didn't take it anymore, and now you're reporting it to HR.
Yeah, so... You know what the interesting part about that? Because like I'm thinking of so as a teacher they always tell you, even if it's not like very official, they tell the teachers to write down whatever happens. So mark it down, any conversation, like when I was having document it on your end, right? Write it down, write the date, write the time, write where it happened at, just so that you already have that all written down and somewhere, right? So that when you do go to HR, you're like, listen, on March 19th, 2019, she said this. And then you have it like 2 weeks after that, she did this. 3 weeks after that. So it's like, you're not making this up. I mean, you're writing it down. That's just for you to have it. I guess you could say it to HR. Be like, you know what? This is the first time it's happened. I just want to bring it to you and then see what could happen if they continue to do this, or what are you going to do when I come back next time and they say something, you know? But I feel like it's depending on the type of company, depending on who's working in the company, it's really hard to actually get those type of, because people are always saying it. You look around now, there's a whole bunch of insensitive and ignorant stuff going on.
Definitely.
And it's like, and you hear people you hear employees from Target, they're like, oh, that they were racist and that's why I left them, and they're still getting employees. People are still going to work for them, and they're probably still dealing with the same foolishness. So it's really difficult. It's I guess it depends on what field you're in, actually, you know, always as well. Because sometimes you have to work with people. Like, you know, as a teacher, I mean, I'm like, I have my assistant teacher. What if she says something that just doesn't sound right? How am I have to be in that classroom with her all day. Right? How can we make that work in a way that no one feels, you know, but also that I feel comfortable too. The interesting balance.
You ready to move on?
Yeah, we can move on. Are you ready?
Doing a group project, one of your coworkers is not receptive of the team decision making. They constantly prioritize their ideas and disregard any type of collaborative efforts. How would you react in this situation? A, plot behind the coworker's back and complete the project with more collaborative members. B, approach the coworker and see if they can realize their aggressiveness and come to a compromise. C, discuss the situation with your supervisor and ask for a replacement member. What do you think?
Disregard. So they're disregarding any type of collaboration. For me, it would have to be. I feel like it would have to be B first.
B first. Why?
I don't know, because I'm thinking. I feel like there's a lot of times where you could, with C, like you could walk up to your supervisor, right, and you could bring the situation to them, and they're like, "Well, I need you to figure it out first. Like I need y'all to come to a conclusion, a consensus, work out your situation and your problem on your own before you bring it to me."
Yeah.
Right? And so I'm like, I guess for me it would be to approach them and see if they can realize what they're doing is wrong, right?
Oh, it's like an initial step.
Yeah, that would be my initial step. I would have to, because I don't want to work in a group and I'm feeling like you think that your idea or like no one else in this group has anything meaningful to say. And then it would be B. Then I'd be plotting. I don't even think I would go to the supervisor. I would just be like, I'm not even bothering with this person. I don't want a replacement. I don't want anything at this point. I just don't want to be bothered with whatever he's got going on over there. And if he don't like it, then he can bring it up to whoever, and you know what's gonna happen. Then that'll lead to the supervisor, and then all 4 or 3 or whoever's in this group could be like to the supervisor, he wasn't taking any of our ideas. No, he wasn't doing. So we just decided to go with our own situation. See, at least it's just one person. It's not the whole, you know. Because you can ask for a replacement member. Then how many replacement members are you going to get? What if this replacement member is doing the same type of stuff?
Yeah.
He's got to learn his ways eventually. His or her ways eventually.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I think as an initial reaction, depending on how aggressive they are, I think I'd probably be like, hey, that would be my first. Because I don't have the patience. And if the project is like really tasking, B is just like, that can go either way. And like, if they can like take offense to that, like, oh, so I'm being aggressive, okay. And then they can amplify their behavior during the team project. And I feel like, I know if they catch us, like if the culprit catch us doing A, but I feel like it's stronger as a team. Like if everybody recognizes that this guy or this woman is being an asshole, then it's better to just pick up their slack, and then update them on our progress, and like act like we were like including their ideas and stuff like that.
Just throwing them in
and then we just continue have like a backup project where the more collaborative members, we just meeting up and doing our thing.
So toxic.
Yeah. And I mean, maybe, the asshole has a good idea that we can steal.
Maybe.
Yeah.
But I don't know. He think he's a one-man team, and they got to change their ways.
Yeah.
But I agree.
Okay. I mean, C, I feel like the backfire to that, maybe like your supervisor sees that you don't know how to like, what's the word I'm looking for?
What, conflict
be
resolution?
Resourceful.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
You're gonna be like, oh, so you just give up.
You just came to me. You didn't ask nobody else.
Yeah.
Did you speak to your other coworkers about this situation? What did they say?
Definitely. So I feel like if you do B and you do other steps to like try to remediate the situation, then you can approach your supervisor. But I feel like the supervisor has to be the last decision.
I agree. Yeah.
All right. Next one. We're at 30 minutes.
Why you say it like that?
It's a fast episode.
It's always when it sucks too. So, you have been working at a company for 3 years. Your manager has repeatedly proclaimed how appreciative they are of your work and contribution to the company. However, your pay has not increased at all during your time at the company. You feel it's time for change. What do you do? A, organize a report of your contributions and schedule a meeting with your manager to discuss the fate of your salary. Dang, that sounds very drastic. B, abruptly leave the company to find a place that can compensate you more appropriately for your contributions. C, approach your manager and give them an ultimatum. You either get a raise or you are leaving. Interesting. What you gonna do, Hamed? 3 years. That's a lot of time. That's a lot of investment. Listen, if I was teaching for 3 years, I'm going on 3 years. I think at the same place. What do you think? What you gonna do?
Sure. I mean, it depends on how I feel. If it's like a company that I don't see myself growing anymore, I might
Okay.
choose B. Maybe with like a 2 week notice, not abruptly leaving,
Mhm.
but like maybe I don't really need the raise here. I can find my raise somewhere else.
Okay.
But definitely A, if I really believe in the company's vision, mission, and what they do. What was that other term we learned? Corporate social responsibility. If they have a good,
Oh, you believe in their CSR?
yeah, their
Oh, okay.
CSR.
Yeah.
Business is words right here.
Yeah, I don't know about that
But
word.
definitely, I would go A. I feel like that would be more of a respectable approach because I don't see any other way for them to really like if you just go up to them and be like, I need a raise, and you don't show the effort that you did to
Yeah.
collect what you've done. Like that first part of A, I feel like would give you a boost.
I think so too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean B, I don't know about abruptly leaving.
Yeah.
Only if I know I've got some money in the back, I got some money stashed away, I can, relatively chill till the next job. But one thing I've learned is you don't leave one place until you found another one.
Yeah, definitely.
So, that's not about to happen. I don't know. C just sounds very, who would do that? You're going to give them an ultimatum. See, that's the hierarchy we was talking about.
Yeah.
You see? But I'm like, I don't know. I feel like C and A can somewhat go hand in hand. Because if I'm, of course, I'll organize. Obviously, what am I organizing this report for?
Yeah.
So it's two ways it can go. You can either give me a higher salary, or you don't. And what's gonna happen when you organize this beautiful report? You laying out the contributions, and you go through the meeting, and they're like, not enough.
Then I'll choose the B option. I'm abruptly.
Would you tell them though that you're gonna leave? Would you at least lay the foundation that if you don't get this raise in your salary after you've done so many contribute, you've worked on this report.
Like I'm doing manager level work.
But you've worked on this report and it speaks that you deserve a raise. Would you give them? I mean, you wouldn't, straight out just be like, you either gonna give me this raise after I give you the support, or I'm out of the door.
Yeah.
Like, what would you? I don't know. I would definitely do A though. I feel like that's very important. The one thing you need to do is, you know your worth, but they also want to see specific things. They want you to name specifics, all right? And
everybody likes numbers.
They like the numbers. They like the results. They like the process. Everything from in between. So I'm like, okay, cool. I feel like people who would do C just really don't, and be like, listen, like they'll feel like they don't even have to speak for themselves. You know what I mean?
I've done.
You should
I'm
know
lit.
what I've done.
You always tell me I'm lit. Where's my raise?
Like, you should know I'm lit. Like, you should know what I'm already doing, right?
Yeah.
I feel like that's what someone in the C range would feel like. Like, but for 3 years, for working at that company for 3 years, I wouldn't go with C. Maybe if I was working there 10 years and you sitting there trying to tell me you ain't trying to raise that's probably be me. I'd be like, I know this company from the leg down.
Yeah.
You better figure something out.
Okay. All right, next one.
What's next?
This is going to be the last business scenario.
Yes.
Just so you guys know. Okay.
What you got?
You're working at a supermarket and there's a regular customer who knows how to grind your gears. You've recently been involved in an altercation with another customer who's being difficult, but your manager gave you a strict warning. The regular customer has it out for you and is succeeding. How do you react? A. Swap kiosks with a trusted coworker when you see the customer approaching you. B. Confront the customer and demand them to stop harassing you. C. Inform your supervisor that you do not want to be involved with this customer because of your experiences with them. How are you tackling this?
I really don't know. I feel like, so if I was working at a supermarket and I really just wanted to avoid this customer, and obviously the manager already knows what's going down, and they're not trying to help me, I would probably choose A.
Choose A?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because I would just want to avoid, especially if I know this is just, I'm just trying to do my job, get my money, go home. Like, I don't want to be dealing with all the foolishness that's coming in through the door, especially if someone's not, my manager's not even helping. No one is helping. I mean, at least my coworker is helping me.
Yeah.
Because confronting the customer and demanding them to stop harassing you, they're quick to be like, they did something to you, and then it's
customer's always right.
Yeah, see, that's the nonsense. The customer is always right. That's the foolishness. They better come to you with some respect too.
Definitely.
And then I don't know, inform me that you do not want to. You could do C, and see how that goes.
Yeah.
You could really sit there and be like, I have bad experiences with them. You could probably even tell them. I'm thinking like, if you tell them, see, that you inform that you don't want to be involved with them, you can explain to them that if you leave me to be involved with this customer, this is what's going to happen.
Yeah.
These are the things that are going to happen. And unless you want that to happen, you should just leave me. When I see that customer, it should be okay that I walk away.
Definitely.
Like, you know what I mean? It's just to save you, to save me, to save us. That's as nicely putting it as I can put it. What would you do, Hamed?
I mean, B, I feel like that can just make the situation worse, especially if the customer is like enjoying what they're doing to you, and
having a field day.
And your supermarket has a policy of like the customer is right, so to say. I feel like A would be the logical answer, and like if you see the customer approaching you, like if you have like a trusted like coworker that you can find, that you can announce to the like really like a quick fix almost. Like, okay, this person is ringing you in. Can we switch real quick?
Yeah.
And if that person is not busy, you guys can make the switcheroo. I mean, you can also definitely try C if you have any witnesses or somebody you trust that can vouch for you and be like, this person is not playing. That can also work as well. But B, I feel like is gonna definitely escalate the situation.
It will. It definitely will.
Yeah.
Potentially lose your job because you
Definitely.
look like the wrong person.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's simple as that one's put.
Of course. All right, now we're moving into relationships that includes friends, family, and significant others.
All right. You ready, Hamed?
Yeah.
You sure?
You want another one?
You look semi-ready. You and your parents strongly disagree on a religious, cultural, political topic. This issue makes you contemplate on leaving your parents' home because you believe you are correct. Your parents don't seem to want to budge on the issue. How do you react? A. Save your money and leave as soon as you find the opportunity to do so. B. Sit back, reflect, try to think of a possible compromise that you think your parents can appreciate.
Yeah.
Or, if they can. C. Try and find ways to prove your parents wrong so they can see the error of their ways.
Yeah.
Hamed, what do you think?
This is very situational. I mean, there's people that believe family is like everything, even through thick and thin.
Yeah, that's the statement. That's still your mama.
Yeah.
That's still your daddy.
That's still your parents. That's still your family at the end of the day. That's still the people you have to like lean on if you're ever in a situation. But depending on this religious, cultural, political belief, if it's detrimental to you being in their presence, and you have to worry about yourself, and I feel like A is definitely like, if you are able to do that option, of course. Of course, if you're a minor, it's unfortunate, but you're gonna have to stay in that situation. And if you are a minor, I don't think C would work. Try and find ways to like prove them wrong, because you're at the end of the day. I feel like the generation of parents before our generation, like people in the previous generation who are parents now
Uh-huh.
may be a bit more difficult when it comes to like compromise and like understanding the beliefs of like newer age thinking and
Okay.
progressive ideas.
Yep.
And I feel like, say for example, being gay, some people can be
Mhm.
disowned,
Yeah.
you know? So I feel if you are a minor and you can't really move out or you don't have the resources to, definitely try to find B. And then if it's definitely a danger zone,
Mhm.
as Erica put it, a dangerous environment, you would have to at least save your money and find like another trusted person if you so have to like live with, if you feel like you're threatened by your parents. Don't ever think that if you're being treated negatively by your family, that's an okay thing because they're your family.
But people still believe that.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's and it's hard to get out of that because you'll get some people that are very connected with family members, and you try to explain that they did something wrong or that something that they're doing just doesn't feel right with you, and then you're being disrespectful. That's what they claim it to be, right?
Yeah.
And then how do you? That's still your mommy. And you're like, well, I don't know about
Definitely.
I don't know. For me, this is interesting. Knowing me as like if I don't like my environment, like I'm ready to walk out the door and go, I would probably choose A. Yeah, because I mean, it's interesting. Okay, so I feel like depending on, because everybody knows their parent, right? Everybody knows what they can and can't, kind of like figure out and come to a consensus on. So I feel like if it was me in this situation, like I'm speaking to my mother, like B would fit, right? Because she would be able to hear me out or think of something, and I feel like I could work with her.
Yeah.
But like, you can't tell your parents they're wrong. I don't know. You know how many times you could sit there and probably say that.
That's just a waste of energy.
That is a waste of energy. So I would honestly just choose A because I'm very big on the environment that I'm in and the productivity and just trying to get to where I need to go and get out the door and be on my own, because you know what they say. If you don't like it, you can leave. If you don't like the way that you're living under my roof, you can leave, and that's what it is. I guess just suck it up. But then, what do you do if you have to keep doing this practice, knowing that you don't agree on it?
I mean, it's difficult. I feel like if you are a minor, or if you don't have the resources to like move out and live on your own, B is definitely like more of a survival tactic. Like the compromise doesn't have to be a compromise between you and your parents. It can be a compromise with yourself. You're like, okay, they think this way.
Interesting.
Let me just, stick it out for a couple more years or a couple more months until I have the resources I collected throughout the years.
Okay.
So, or until I find like someone I can trust.
That makes
I
sense.
can move out, because of course most young people have the rule. If you live under my roof, you live under my rule.
Yep.
And that's just unfortunate.
Yeah. I like the compromise with yourself.
Yeah, definitely.
That kind of goes hand in hand with save your money and leave as soon as you find an opportunity. It's like, you know what? I'm just going to get through this for the next 4 months and then I'm out the door.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So I get that. Okay.
Because in this situation, you can probably have like talked their ears off, try your best to like explain their view.
Driving yourself crazy?
Yeah.
While they all calm and
Like,
sitting and chilling?
That's a you problem.
Too funny.
Alright, the next one. You have a nagging suspicion that your parents are playing favorites between you and your siblings. You feel like the black sheep of the family, underappreciated, left out of certain things, and on the receiving end of constant disappointment. How do you react? A. Keep things to yourself and continue to feel ostracized. Ostracized means, othered, isolated.
To yourself.
Yeah. B. Express your feelings to your family and explain your perspective on the environment. C. Treat your family passive aggressively as a way to express your pettiness. What are you doing?
What am I doing?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm the black sheep, right?
Yeah.
I'm feeling very underappreciated. I feel like for me,
You think this is a common scenario, like parents play favorites?
playing favorites, my
Yeah.
mama does. Yeah, my mommy does. Yeah, she definitely does.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna sit here and lie about that. I think, and parents will tell you that they don't. They'll tell you that
Of course
they
they
don't
don't.
love one more than the other.
Mhm.
They don't favorite this one more than the other. But I feel like what you have to realize is that they were thinking, I want to have a child.
Yeah.
And you come out with a plan. Oh, I want this child to do this. I want them to be able to do this. And if they don't turn out and live up to their expectations, they're looking at you like, what did I have
Waste
you?
of sperm.
What did I waste of an egg? Waste of, right? So I feel like they do have favorites, or there is something that they're really liking from one person and they really like it from somebody else. I'm sorry. It's just, that's just how it's going to be. But especially if there's like I would say a huge difference between the siblings.
Yeah.
Like one is really doing what they need to do, hard working, and college is working 2 jobs, and then the other one is like at home playing video games, no job, no nothing, no plans, no future. Which one you gonna like more? The one I gotta take care of at my house, or the one that's gonna be taking care of me when I get older, right?
Yeah.
But I feel like for me, I would definitely choose B. Only because I like to talk. Obviously, that's a conversation needs to be had. In order for people to understand that they're doing something wrong. They're not going to know if you don't name it. I mean, they probably do know, but if you don't express your, how can I say, your like worry or like your feeling towards it, they're not going to care.
Okay.
But then, I don't know. I feel like for A people who choose A would probably feel like if they do say something, that is just going to cause more backlash. Like they're gonna be like, oh, she's so sensitive.
Yeah.
You think you're the only one that like it's gonna be a nagging situation. But B could also just do the same thing.
Yeah.
Right? They could be like, oh, I feel this way, and they'll laugh in your face.
Yeah.
They could laugh, right, and then or they could just bash you even more. Be like, why do you think we leaving you out of stuff? Like that's how the conversation could turn. But I don't think C is the right way to go, because the pettiness would just make it 10 times worse. It might help you in the end, because you're like, yeah, this is what I'm going to do. You know, let me be petty right now, because it's going to make me feel okay, and obviously they're going to get aggravated. But it's not going to help you at the end of the day. It's just going to put all that work on your side and like changing your ways, probably, especially if you're like a nice person and you're sweet and you're, you know, trying to do the best that you can. I feel like that will just, people know when you're petty.
Okay.
They know when you're petty. I don't know. What do you think, Hamed?
I mean, for me, I've definitely done A, keeping things to myself and continuing to like resent my family, well, especially my mom, for like making me feel this way. Because I feel like,
oh, so let's name it. You feel like the black sheep of the family?
in a way, you know.
Okay.
Because my brother is way more forgiving than I am. Because my mom always talked about like I love you, and the things I do for you is love. Like there's certain things that I've witnessed her do, and it's made me like question what type of love. Is this like healthy love? Is this toxic? Is this how I should be loving my kids in the future? You know? And her representation of love I didn't really sit with, because it made me feel like I'm not doing the things I should be doing in order for her to feel like she's done a good job. So
that's what we talked about with the favorites.
yeah, definitely. I mean, I've definitely done A.
Okay.
But B, I feel like I'm trying to do B right now, and it's not really working out because some family members can be hard-headed. They can think that they've done nothing wrong, and because they've brought you, you've spent 9 months in their womb.
Yeah, and they did all
and
this stuff.
They're going through all that pain to like give you birth. That you owe them everything, basically. Like, I brought life to you, So whatever I've done in the past was to like make you a better person.
Yeah.
Even though like whatever you've done in the past could have been traumatic, could have been misinterpreted to be like, that can damage the way young kids receive love in the future.
Mm-hmm.
They're like any negative behavior experienced in their family, but at the end of the day, this is like what their family call love.
Yeah.
Like maybe roasting them all the time, talking
Mm-hmm.
about their weight, making
Yeah.
them feel stuff like that, and they use that with the excuse of like, this is how I express my love.
Mm-hmm.
Like people can go looking for that.
Yeah.
Like a person that treats them right doesn't feel right.
Yeah, it doesn't feel like it's the thing that it should be. Like
Yeah.
this doesn't. This feels
Because
weird.
this is how
It feels
I
awkward.
receive. Yeah, it feels
Yeah.
awkward. It doesn't. It feels like this is not normal. This
Yeah.
is not how I received love when I was younger.
Yeah.
I'm looking for something more, quote unquote, toxic,
Mm-hmm.
but it may not be toxic to that
Yeah.
person in the context of their childhood.
It's real.
Do you have anything else to add, or are you good?
No, I was just thinking, since you named yourself as the black sheep, I would probably name myself as a favorite. Yeah.
I definitely,
Because I've done everything
yeah.
that I was supposed to.
I mean, for me, I feel like obviously my dad appreciates the work that I've done,
Yeah.
and I don't feel like I'm the black sheep to him. With
But
my mom, definitely a different case.
okay.
Definitely a different case.
Wouldn't know what to say about my father.
All right, next one.
All right. So you are busy with school and work, and your friends are starting to leave you out of get-togethers. All right. This is when you all join forces and come and hang out and do whatever you do. They say they don't invite you because you always say no to plans. You feel a great deal of distance beginning to form. What do you do? A. Reevaluate your schedule and see if you can add some time to participate in plans more. B. Think that your friends aren't really friends because they are not respecting your time and stress and ignore them.
Mm-hmm.
C. Sternly express that you are overwhelmed with your current schedule and inform them that they are not respecting your time.
Yeah.
This is an interesting one. What do you think?
I mean, it depends on how they approach me.
What do you mean?
Like, if they approach me really negatively and not respect that I'm actually doing something to potentially be
I mean, there's a great
bettering myself.
deal of distance. So I'm assuming you can feel the pressure of like not even reaching out to you. Like they probably won't even reach out to you at some point. What are you thinking then? They're not being nasty. They're just not reaching out to you. You may see them hanging out on Instagram and be like, why you didn't invite me? And they'll probably be like, because you say no.
Yeah. I think I'll go A and C. First, if I see that, damn, it's just tough. Because at this point, they're not really talking to you anymore.
Yeah, really.
Or like inviting you, and you definitely feel outside.
You're feeling very othered.
Yeah.
This one is hard. I don't know. I feel like this, what I'm thinking of is, I feel like people do a lot of work on like how long has this person been your friend, and then how much of you do they know, and how much of them do you know. Like how deep is your relationship really?
You think that determines your answer?
I feel like depending on who you are, partially maybe.
Yeah.
Cause listen, I used to be very busy with like school and work. I feel like I still am busy with school and work because I will prioritize that over probably a friend any day. I don't know, because my friend is not gonna make me a living. No, I'm saying like it's the reality of the situation. Like they're not here with me when I'm studying for my exams. They're not here for me when I'm at work dealing with what I'm dealing with. Like there's a lot of things that you have to do, and these are things that, and then your friends are like things that are like they just come into your life and just make kind of like the situation like feel better. They're there for you, you know, when you're probably feeling down or stuff like that, but they're not really there with you. You know what I mean? Okay. So it's like sometimes you have to do things just because you have to do them. Like I have to go to work because what I gotta do, I need to pay rent, I gotta pay these bills. and I have to go to school because that's just what I want to do. Maybe I need this degree in order to make a raise, and then maybe this raise is gonna help me actually start to hang out more with my friends. So I don't know. I mean, I'll probably do all three. I don't know. Depending on how the situation is. Like, I mean, and then there's also the thing where, like, some people, you know, there's introverts, there's extroverts. Like, you may not want to hang out. You might not want to hang out with your friends, but say, for instance, if your mother or your sister hit you up and you're like, yeah, I'm ready to hang out with you right now.
Yeah.
Like, you know, I guess it depends. Like, who you really want to make time for. Like, that's what it comes down to. Like, do you really want to make time for this person or to do these things? Or do you want to put the time into travel? Do you want to put the time in to do this and to do that? Like, you know what I mean? And I don't know. It's difficult because also you never know what someone else is going through. Like, this person that's working really hard through school and work, they could potentially be homeless and never told you.
Yeah.
And like, this is the reason they're saying no, right? This is the reason why they have to say no. Like, there is no choice. I don't know. I feel like you could easily go either way depending on your situation.
I feel like maybe C would be my first option.
That you'll explain to them that you're overwhelmed.
I would like explain to them that I'm overwhelmed by my current schedule.
Okay.
And that try and find a nice way or
to tell them.
Way that inform them that I don't feel like they are respecting my time.
Okay.
And I feel like if depending on that response, if it's positive, I'm gonna go to A, reevaluate my schedule, and then see if I may, cut out some time in my day to like hang out.
If it's negative.
But if it's a negative response, then I'll just be more comfortable with the distance that's grown.
I'm sorry. That's it. I'll just come to accept it. It is what it is. So you would not do B.
I don't think B would be my first choice.
Would it be A
well,
choice?
Maybe like.
Would it be A choice?
I'll probably think it.
It'll be a thought. Okay.
But I don't know if I would like completely ignore them now.
Okay, got it.
Yeah. But for B, I'll probably think that maybe they're not really respecting my time. Maybe these people, maybe you got to reevaluate who are your friends.
This is a really, relevant one out here. Because we all trying to, do what we need to do and figure out what we need to figure out. Because not everybody knows your situation. So, I don't know.
Next one.
Think about your friends.
Okay. I think this is your turn.
Nah, I'll scroll back up. Didn't I do the last one?
You did.
I did that one.
You are in a relationship for 5 years.
It's a long time.
You think that your relationship is going well, but your partner believes you are not putting in the same effort as you were when you first started dating. You understand your partner's perspective and promise to do better, but they don't feel like continuing with the relationship. How do you respond? A, agree with your partner and end the relationship. B, deny your partner's sanity and explain that they are delusional and ungrateful for the time and effort you gave to the relationship. Convince your partner that you can do better and list the ways you will. Ask them to give you another chance. How are you tackling this?
Okay, 5 years.
This is definitely the time of like comfortability. Definitely past the honeymoon phase.
Definitely past the honeymoon phase. Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know. For me, since I'm not like a give up type of person, I will definitely aim for C. Right? Because I don't know. I feel like, for certain, it depends. If you were doing some crazy stuff, then you couldn't ask for another chance.
Yeah.
But either way, I would still be sitting there because I'm just not a give up type of person. Like, you spend 5 years in this relationship, there was some pretty good things, and I feel like if you stayed that long, there clearly was some effort at some point of time. So I feel like I definitely would sit there and try to convince them that I would do better, and specifically like name the things. But you see, the thing with listing the ways that you would have to recognize and take ownership of the things that you're lacking.
Yeah.
Right? So there's a whole process there. Like, imagine they're at the point where they're like, well, I mean, if they don't feel like continuing the relationship and you're like, and you ask them, what am I doing? What am I not putting, what effort? And they're like, you should know. And then you sit there and you're like, damn, I really don't know. like what the hell am I going to tell them? But now I have to sit here and really think. I feel like that would probably be my first way to go. And I don't know if I would sit there and call them insane and explain that they're delusional, or I guess depending on, that would only be if I know that I've been doing the same effort or just as much throughout the entire relationship, and I'm like, nah, there's no way you're gonna sit here and tell me that I'm
that
not.
would be deep. Challenge them and be like, I don't feel like you've been doing enough.
That would be deep, right?
Yeah.
You'd sit there and be like, what are you trying to say? But I feel like that would just be a continuous clash. Like, no one's going to do anything. And then A would just be like, okay, I've already explained to you all the ways that I would do what I want to do. You still don't want to continue. Yeah. So then it's time for the relationship to end. I mean, it is what you want to do. And then the whole coping sequence happens.
Okay.
Right? I don't know. It's difficult, though, because it's another person involved.
Because I feel like in this situation, they don't feel like continuing with the relationship. So I have to make sure that this is not an excuse to break up. Or like they're trying to like nitpick the little things. Maybe I missed a birthday one time. Or like, I didn't
missed a birthday?
I didn't get the gift she wanted because my pockets were tight.
Okay.
But like, if she doesn't want to continue with the relationship, I feel like that would be a bit difficult to convince them. That would be like an uphill climb. Now I gotta convince this person to be with me. But if that person is starting to lose interest, it's hard to reignite that.
It is hard to reignite that. I mean, but are you willing to try? Are you willing to put that energy in first? That, I guess that's what you would have to really evaluate. Are you willing to put more, like 110% energy in trying to bring back something, or would you just be like, I'm done? Like we done been 5 years in this, and you gonna sit here and tell me now that I'm not putting the same effort when we first started dating? We're not the same people we was when we first started dating. Yeah,
I'm just saying that last part is a red flag.
That's a red flag.
But they don't feel like continuing with the relationship.
I agree. That does seem like a red flag.
Yeah, I mean, I'll try to do C, and if it becomes a discussion, and then we realize that, it may not just work out. Maybe she's just falling out of love. And I'll go with A. Now I'll see if I can do anything before like I do A. But I feel like because they started to feel like not continuing the relationship,
you just give up?
If I hear their side of the story and it makes sense,
then you would give up.
Yeah.
All right.
I'll probably go A.
Okay.
Yeah, because I feel like, let me stop saying like, I don't think, maybe the break would be good.
Okay, that makes sense.
And then if they start to miss a lot, or like realize the things that you've done, that break can probably reignite somewhere, or they could probably use the break to fuck somebody else. You never know.
You never know. Well, I mean, you'll find out later.
Definitely don't want to find out later. All right.
Last one, right?
Last one.
All right. So, your wife or husband strongly disagree with the way you plan on disciplining your child.
Yeah.
One side believes that a strict approach builds character and will teach them quickly.
Yeah.
Yes. The other believes that a creative approach will help them learn a lesson without trauma.
Yeah.
This decision is vital to both your values of parenting. How do you approach? A, are you going to try to find a solution that blends both techniques into one method? B, give up on your decision, but let your partner know that if action is taken, this will have a strong negative impact on the relationship. C, lie to your partner and act behind your partner's back.
Yeah.
What are you gonna do?
I mean,
What are you gonna do, Hamed? What this is?
I think I'll try to go A, try to find a solution that blends both techniques.
Okay.
I'm all about compromise. And a good compromise is like neither party is satisfied, but every party is accepting of that situation.
Okay.
Not all the way satisfied. Like there's a little bit of hers, but a little bit of mine.
Mm-hmm.
I can deal with that. And so I think I'll go A. But for B, if like this is a strong belief in the ways of parenting,
Yeah.
and you want that to implement that on your children, I don't know. I feel like B is a good way to like letting your partner know you're communicating that. Okay, I'm gonna let you do this, but I'm really not gonna like you doing that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I feel like that puts the ball in your partner's, field and seeing how they would react. You think that may be an ultimatum? I don't know.
It could be an ultimatum, but because I feel like the minute you tell someone like, this is what's going to happen to the relationship if you do this, the person is going to be sitting there thinking like, damn, like, so if I do this, we're going to have an argument. This is probably going to happen, and then at that point, it's like the relationship is just going to go downhill. But also, I feel like the minute you say that, it's already going to have an impact. Before they even take action, that statement alone is going to make an impact. Because it also sounds like it kind of sounds like an ultimatum, right? It's like you either agree with me or you don't, and this will happen. So I don't know. I mean, there's also the simple fact that like when you become wife, husband, in joint, like there is compromise. Like there's a conversation that has to be made and that has to happen.
In a perfect world, yeah. But I feel like if there's two-hearted people
that are really stuck on what they do,
A is gonna be difficult to.
It probably will be, and I wouldn't. But and it's difficult because there's no rule book to this. There's no
definitely not
rule book on how to discipline your child. Like these are things that you would just have to sit there and come up with on your own. Right? I mean, you could look up all the research you want to if you feel like you could, but not every child is one in the same environment, two taught the same way. They're not in the same type of There's a lot of different things and factors that come into account when you're thinking about how you want to discipline your child or how you want to raise your child. And there's also a big part of you. Mind you, you've been a child. I mean, you're a child to your whole entire life, but you've been taught what it means to be a parent from birth up until you leave the house. So like this is, and it would take you a long time to unlearn 18 or 21 years of parenting.
Yeah.
Like it's gonna take you some time.
Definitely. Okay.
So I mean, that would be the process for B. Like if your partner is telling you that, like your process would be to really sit there and try to unlearn what you've been taught, or to see the ways, the wrong ways of what you're doing.
Yeah.
But look, strict approach and a creative approach. I mean, I believe both will probably work.
I mean, yeah, I definitely don't see C. If you don't care about the relationship, okay, or if you believe that you're
so
right.
much work. Could you imagine telling your kid, "You better not tell your father that I slapped you too"? Like that is just that's just too much. Or like, you better not tell your mother that I read you a book to try to teach you this type of lesson. Like it's just too much. It's too much work.
Yeah, then you create conflicts between the child and the other parent.
Yep. Then they have to deal with the conflict between you two when they shouldn't even be a part of that conversation either.
Yeah. I mean, B, I see giving up on the decision.
Because
some people just don't want to fight. Like,
be like, all right, she's not gonna. Her mother's been doing this for her whole entire life. She's not gonna change her ways.
Definitely. Yeah. And if you got like other responsibilities, you got work to think about. Bills are like stressful. I don't think some family households probably don't have the time to be as creative to see how both. But if parenting is that important to you, as people say, you'll find the time.
Mhm.
But yeah, I feel like A is definitely the better option, but B might be the easier scapegoat option.
I believe so.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, listen, no rule book.
All right. With that, that completes our Communication 101 Working Relationship Scenario podcast episode.
Hope you learned a thing or two.
Yeah, definitely. It had to make me think about that. If you guys like this format or want to see more scenario based, episodes,
Want to send some over,
mm-hmm. we can possibly do a part 2 for season 2 and beyond. Next episode will be about being black in the workplace, having a job, what that felt like, and what
it feels like.
Yeah, what it feels like.
What it feels.
I think I've created questions, but you're gonna wait to see them.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you very much, conversators, for the people who have for showing support,
Especially since day one.
especially since day one.
Episode
Yeah.
1.
I mean, we've seen the viewership decline. We're trying to see why that is, but this has definitely been an eye-opening experience,
I agree.
and hopefully the last episode is a banger. And do you have any, second to last episode farewells to say to?
No, I mean, it's definitely been a journey.
Yeah.
The conversations have been very juicy and interesting, and it's been filled with some happy thoughts, some sad thoughts,
Mhm.
some lessons. I
Yeah.
believe there have been some lessons in it. Makes you really think, But the whole point of this was just for you to understand that
Mhm.
you can have these conversations with anyone, right?
Yeah.
That's what we're trying to emphasize, that even with these scenarios right now, when you watch the episode, maybe talk to your mother, talk to a father, talk to your coworker, like try to figure out what we can do to kind of, make some of these responses in the real world, okay?
Yeah.
Because some of them could just be easily thrown. We've been doing the same thing for too long.
Definitely. And yeah, that's our mission, that's our goal.
Yep.
And we'll see you on the next episode. And then to the September podcast hosts, the future us, we thank you. All right. See you later, conversators.